you are a worthy representative of your calling and because you possess qualities that will permit you to exemplify the true spirit of Rotary in your public, business, social, and private lives. We wish to impress upon you that you've been admitted not only to the Rotary Club of Williston and Richmond, but to a worldwide association. And by virtue of your membership in this club, you will be welcomed into the fellowship of any Rotary Club in the world. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership carries with it certain duties and obligations. You are required to attend the club's meetings regularly, to perform your share of club service, and to place your knowledge and talents at the disposal of the club in its task of carrying the principles of Rotary into the daily life of the community. We expect that you will roll up your sleeves and make a meaningful contribution to this club. I ask all members to rise. Rotarians, Jonathan and Matthew, in the name of the Rotary Club of Williston-Richmond, we now formally admit you to membership in this club and affix your name badge and Rotary pin, which your sponsors, Erin and Ellie, can do.
That's the best part.
Yep, the bright yellow. Welcome. Fellow Rotarians, I commend to you our newest members, Rotarians Jonathan and Matthew. And I charge all of you to welcome them.
And they will be asked to classification talk in the future.
Yes. And we would love to get a picture of you on the other side of the room in front of the Rotary banner and the four-way test banner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
And you too, please.
And me too?
You too.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, gotta come closer.
So if we can have you two maybe be on the, I'm sorry to be bossy, on that side of the sign, there we go. Perfect. Okay.
Are we good?
We are awesome. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Who's gonna say 4, 5, 6? Apparently no one.
All right, welcome. Yes. And thank you for photographing.
My pleasure.
I'm aboard. I'll teach you the secret handshake next week.
All right, so fun to see our club growing, and we still have applications in, I believe, so. Yay for new members. And now I will have Walter introduce our speaker for today.
Morning. Morning. Today, I'm introducing Tamira Martel, the Development Director for the Governor's Institute of Vermont. She is a military brat who lived all over the US and the world with deep ancestral roots of Vermont. 25-year fundraiser for a variety of nonprofits in Virginia and Vermont. An avid gardener and aficionado on all things historic with a degree in architectural conservation and preservation. A member of the Rotary Club of St. Albans, Vermont. And she says she's very happy to be here to meet everybody. The Governor's Institute of Vermont, GIV, provides affordable and accessible residential immersion programs on college campuses where teens explore their academic, artistic interests, meet mentors and peers, and gain exposure to multiple educational and career pathways. We develop students who are big picture thinkers, problem solvers, and innovators with in-demand skills to meet the challenges of the modern world and access its opportunities. So may I present Tamira Martel.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to your club. And it's so nice to see new members inducted into the club. So welcome, John and Matthew, to the Rotary family. I think Walter gave me a great introduction. I don't need to add anything more to it, but I do want to underscore what Elizabeth said. I invite you all to come to St. Albans. Please come to the Maple City. come to our meetings every other Tuesday at Nellie's at noon. We would love to have you as our guest. I think it's really important that as Rotarians, we get to know one another. I think you've been to one Rotary Club. You've been to one Rotary Club. They're all unique. They're all different. But let's go ahead and get started here. And Debbie's gonna be I'm gonna point, that's my pointer, and then Debbie's gonna advance the slides for me. But I always like to start off and ask you, what did you care about when you were 16?
Girls.
Exactly. So, you were probably concerned about getting your license and all the freedom that that would bring. Maybe you were concerned about your grades and what your parents might do if they found out. Maybe you were concerned about fitting in and having a group of people who had the same interests and passions that you had. And maybe you were thinking about that really big, important question, what comes next? And what we try to do at the Governor's Institutes, or GIV for short, is try to help students figure out what comes next. And I think we do a disservice to young people when we ask them to make that important decision at 18, 19, sometimes even 17 years of age, without almost no life experience or context to draw from. So that's our goal. Our goal is to give them a little bit of life experience and give them some context. And how we do that is through what we call one-day adventures, which are one-day immersions that we hold throughout the state, where students can jump into a particular career or sector that they're interested in, or they can come to a college campus here in Vermont and jump into a 1 to 2 week program and really immerse themselves. It's a residential program. They get to use all the amazing resources that they have on hand at that college. They get to work with college professors, not only from our region, but some come from all over the world, who come back year after year to help young people figure out what it is that they love, what are their skills, and get them to make the connection between their ability and the opportunities that lie ahead, and that they can do it. What we're really finding with so many young people is they're kind of having this crisis of confidence, and they need some inspiration. And that's our goal, is to make them confident and inspired. So we'll go ahead. So we can advance. This is a great picture of us at students working at Beta Technologies, just down the road on their flight simulator. You want to advance it for me, Debbie? So Walter already talked about kind of what our goals are. Those big picture thinkers, those problem solvers who are ready to meet the challenges that the world has to face. And I always say our stealth mission is to keep those young people here. We know Vermont has a demographic crisis. No surprise to anybody in this room. But what I think we need to do is show young people that there are opportunities here for them to pursue their passions. And there's some amazing companies. Beta Technologies is just one example. Over across the river at the old IBM plant, which is now Global Foundries, they're creating chips that produce almost no heat, so they can become smaller and smaller and smaller. We have some amazing things happening at the University of Vermont Medical Center in terms of cutting edge medical technology and research that they're undertaking. There's some amazing jobs, not only here in Chittenden County, but throughout Vermont. So our goal is to kind of show them that. And how do we do that? We already talked a little bit about that. They get to come to a college campus, use the amazing equipment. They get to explore their interests, and they get to meet mentors and peers. And that's really critical in a state like Vermont. We all know Vermont is extremely rural, but some pockets of Vermont are even more rural than others. For example, Canaan, or parts of Bennington County, where there might literally be, we go to high schools in Vermont where there's 50 kids. So it's really critical that they get to come together with people who share their interests and make those connections and go, I'm not the only weird kid who loves robotics. I might be the only kid in my school up in Canaan, but now I'm with 100 other kids who love robotics. And that is really important for a young person to feel validated, that somebody else likes the same things they are. And then they get to hang out with them and geek out. And whether it's geeking out on robotics or geeking out on making comics or acrylic painting or environmental science, we give them all of those different opportunities. And then the other way we do that is giving them that exposure to all of those different pathways that are here in Vermont. Not only educational, but also workforce training pathways. Because we don't believe that there's a one-size-fits-all approach for students. College isn't the only pathway. There are multiple different pathways. And sometimes that your path isn't linear. It could be a little bumpy. We all know how that goes. If you can answer. So what's our impact? So last year in our summer programs, we served 544 students. In our summer programs this year, we're going to serve about 608. All told, in 2025, we're going to serve about 150 students with the addition of those one-day adventures that we're doing. And 55% of our students come from low-income households. That is a critical part of our mission. Over a decade ago, we changed our tuition structure to include a sliding scale component. So students pay according to their family's household income. So those students with the most need may pay as little as $10 to come to a GIV institute. So again, trying to provide opportunities where none may have existed, particularly when it comes to education, because we know that having an opportunity to even explore different pathways for education can make a huge difference, particularly if you're coming from an underserved background. And then last year, with that sliding scale tuition model that we've got, we provided almost 900,000 in tuition assistance and scholarships. This year, we're on track to provide 1.2 million in tuition assistance and scholarships. So again, students who have a household income that is at the lowest end of the spectrum are paying about $10 to come to our programs. And then students at the higher end, families who are making 300,000 or more, are paying full price. Vince asked me a good question though, what's the real cost to the Governor's Institutes or GIV? And the real cost is we're still deeply subsidizing those full prices, and the full price varies. It can go anywhere from $2,600 if you're at the far end of the income spectrum up to like $3,000 for your student to come. That's still deeply subsidized with fundraising. But for a lot of folks, they're surprised by that figure. But we're bringing students onto a campus for like 1 to 2 weeks. And they're staying there residentially, and they're having access to all of this amazing equipment and resources, and then expert instructors, staff, and faculty. And we actually are the only educational enrichment program in the state of Vermont for after school or summer that provides any sort of tuition relief. There are other programs that happen here, but they don't provide any tuition assistance or relief. You could move me down. So what's happening here in Williston, Richmond, and St. George? So last year we had 21 students from your community who came to a Governor's Institutes of Vermont Institute. And we provided almost $28,000 in financial assistance to 19 of those 21 students. And we just closed applications on Monday. We've got 779 students who applied for the 608 slots we have this summer. I believe we had about 42 students from your community. And obviously there aren't enough spots, for all the students who are interested in coming. And how we kind of whittle it down is we look at the age of the applicants. We're prioritizing those older students who are juniors and if they've never had an opportunity to come to our program, we put them forward first because we want to make sure that they get that opportunity before they graduate from high school. They have that taste of what it's to opportunity that it provides. Please go to giv.org and check out our slideshow, or urge them to, or if you've got a parent of a young person. Again, applications for this summer have closed, but it's never too soon to start thinking about next summer. You can look right at that. So what's the lasting outcome. Why do we do this? So I told you a little bit about that stealth goal of trying to keep all of that amazing energy and talent right here in the state of Vermont. But what we really want to do is create great people. That's what we're looking to do. We're trying to create young people who understand their place in the community, whether it's their local, state, or regional. What's their place in the world, and how can they give what's unique about themselves to that world and make it a better place for all of us to live in. So 98% of our alumni report lasting positive outcomes in their career aspirations, their academic goals, and their personal and social development. And we know right now, so critical for young people. I can't tell you the number of young people we have who've come to our programs since the end of the pandemic, struggling with mental health challenges. I look at the data, I write all the grants for our organization. It's probably no surprise to anybody that if you look at when students start to experience poor mental health, it correlates with the access of smartphones. So students need an opportunity to be in person, connect with one another, and make those critical friendships and start to really build their social and emotional awareness. 88% of our alumni call it one of the most important high school experiences. And we've been around for 42 years, since 1983. So 13,500 Vermonters have gone through our programs. You might know a couple of them. Charity Clark, the Attorney General, is one. The mayor here in Burlington, Emma Mulvaney Stanek, is a GIV alum. Grace Potter is a GIV alum. There's a couple of folks who are on Senator Sanders' staff and Welch who are GIV alumni. We have a variety of different programs. They change based on students' interests and the workforce needs. I think our other objective is to really create a strong workforce here in Vermont, work in partnership with corporations and businesses. So they kind of tell us what their needs are. So the programs we offer are an intersection between student interests and workforce needs. And if you want to advance it for me, Debbie. Let's see, do I have a list? Oh, that's a good slide to give you a few outcomes. But programs that we're running this summer, we have our Arts Institute, which is our largest program, serving about 200 students. We have our Weather and Climate Science. We have Engineering. Health and Medicine is our next largest institute, serving 150 young people to explore a career in healthcare. Super important. If you have been living in Vermont, you know that we have a healthcare worker shortage of immense proportions. And we are trying to in a small way, kind of fill that need or that gap. We also offer Global Issues and Youth Action Institute. We have an Entrepreneurship Institute. Students go in, they create an entire real business plan by the time they are done. And many of the students who attend all of those different institutes that I just mentioned have an opportunity at some of them to earn college credit. And they have to do a little bit of work before the institute, during the institute, and after the institute in order to obtain that credit. But our partners like Champlain College and UVM and Vermont State University confer that credit once the students meet all of the different requirements. But that's really great for students who want to get a leg up. They can kind of do the dual enrollment and get a head start during the summertime on their next phase of their education or their workforce training. And if you want to move that forward there. Sparking innovation, we again talked about some of our alum. So and I just want to read his quote. He went in 2008 and he says, growing up in Vermont, it was hard to access tech education. I had a lot of interest in topics like web development and computer security, but it's one thing to pirate PDFs over dial-up. It's a different thing to spend a week meeting people with the same interests. I believe this world existed, but GIV was the first place I saw it. GIV showed me you can build anything. You just have to keep putting one finger in front of the other until it's real. And I don't know if that yellow's tough. So Will is the CEO of Safe Ride. So he is creating technology to reduce car crashes. So we talk about lasting impact. Here's somebody who took that inspiration that they got at the Governors Institute and turned it into their, that passion, turned it into their career, and that is now hoping to make a real difference in the lives of everybody who drives a car, who walks, who is a pedestrian. So it's pretty much all of us. You could advance it. We talked about increased aspirations. This gives you just a couple of data points. We had a long-term study, and more than 99%, basically 100% of our alumni went on to college or post-secondary education or training. So again, there's not one size fits all in terms of what we're sharing with our students for pathways towards a viable career. Let's see. Oh, this was a great one at the very bottom because I'm currently in the plumbing program at CVCC and I really enjoy it. I'd like to explore engineering as I'm considering working in this field, and it would be a way for me to incorporate my plumbing experience to work on the infrastructure. And that was one of our applicants in 2022. We also had a really fun young man come to our Entrepreneurship Institute 2 years ago. His dad is a plumber and he wants to be a plumber, but he came to entrepreneurship because he wants to have a plumbing empire. Which I love. Can you advance that for me, Daddy? And it builds community. We talked about how important it is to connect one another, young people with one another, connect them to the states, and give them a real sense of purpose, and that people here are here to support them and uplift them as they move forward into adulthood. If you can advance it for me, Debbie. And then Rory's story, if you can just bring it to the next one. So Rory is from the Kingdom. She came to our Health and Medicine Institute 2 years ago. She had already received a tuition reduction because the family had a extremely low household income. But right before, once she got her acceptance letter, right before she came, the one car that they have in the family broke down, needed really extensive repairs, and even the low tuition that her family was able to get through the sliding scale was a burden. So they called us up and said, here's our problem. And that's where the scholarships come in. The scholarships come in and say, we can help you with that unexpected reality, and we'll bring the tuition down to $10. And people say, why $10? Because I think it's important that you're invested in some way, whether it's $10 or $100 or $2,500. And it's all relative. I mean, remember when we were just starting out and a $50 dinner, you know, at a restaurant was a huge extravagant expense. And now that you're older in your career, you're like, oh, $50, no big deal. You know, I'll spend $150 on a nice dinner out. So it's all relative. So for some students, $10 is a big investment, but we want them to have that investment. We want them, you guys know, you go to something that's free, maybe 10 minutes before the event, you're about to jump in your car and you're like, I'm just not feeling it today. And you're like, I didn't pay anything. What's the big deal? But, you know, for some people, okay, I made an investment. It's a motivating factor. But so Rory's family was reached out to us. We were able to help them with a scholarship. And then she came to Health and Medicine. And she was able to get hands-on. She was able to get CPR and AED certifications, first aid, stop the bleed. She's able to get her VFIR, Vermont Emergency First Responder certification. That VFIR is really important. That VFIR allows young people to jump onto their local ambulance crew and start helping out immediately. We know we have a shortage of emergency personnel on ambulance crews. So they're getting to help their community out with a critical need, and they're building their resume, building their skills. But she was able to go to Health and Medicine Institute, and then she enrolled in her local CTE program, in their healthcare program. And she is now going to do a career in healthcare. So it's kind of neat. You can move for me, Debbie. So what are the challenges? You know, headwinds, no surprise. You know, we have increasing costs for everything, room and board in particular. Many of our partners are struggling financially, passing those costs on to, or those challenges on to the Governor's Institutes. As I mentioned, we've got to turn away young people. We had 779 apply. We only have 608 slots this summer, so we will have to turn away some young people. And the student need is increasing. You know, you might remember that slide where I said we provided almost 900,000 last year in financial assistance. And 55% of our students were low income. That is an immense jump in 1 year. In 2023, we had 41% of our students were from a low income household. Last year was 55% of students from a low income household. Need is increasing. I was sharing with Elizabeth that we're seeing a trend where, or maybe it was Vince, we're seeing a trend where our middle income's getting hollowed out. So we have students at either end of the spectrum, really low income, and then really coming from really high income households. Slide, please. I don't know if I got. And how you can help, encourage young people to apply, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders. Volunteer, we've got remote opportunities. You can help work in our database. You can help coordinate volunteers. You can come on site when we do our events. We need people helping out with registration or closing day events at the institutes themselves. And they happen at Champlain College, University of Vermont, and Vermont State University, Castleton and Linden campuses. And just keep in touch, you know, check out our social media, sign up to get our newsletter. Maybe you don't know a young person right now. Or maybe the young people you know are little. They're gonna grow up and they can come to GIV. So stay in touch with us. You can look next one. And that's another great story. Chris works in Southern Vermont as an engineer at GS Precision. And Chris was a GIV alum of our engineering institute. And he's doing some really cool things in the aerospace industry down in Southern Vermont. You know, they're literally making rockets and stuff down there. A lot of people don't even know that that's happening here in Vermont. But I urge you to go online, check out Chris's story. Any questions that folks have for me? Go ahead, Jason.
I was just curious, do all the institutes meet at the same week on the college campuses?
No.
They're all separate.
That would kill us.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
6 of us, there's 6.5 of us now. We just hired a part-time person to help us with the admin. So we obviously swell in the summertime to about 130 seasonal staff. Many of them are educators, college, high school, who we hire for the summertime, but we're a pretty lean and mean team. So we stagger them so that our team can be there and kind of help fill any gaps that come up. But institutes this summer will start on the 20th of June and go through the very end of July. Those there are 8 institutes, 9 sessions total. Our health and medicine is sessions because it's so large. Yes.
Yeah, how do students find out about this? You alluded to referrals from the community
Yep.
or something like that, but is it offered at every school, every high school in Vermont? Do they know that there's a GIV? This, by the way, this just sounds terrific.
Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking that. So we go out, we just completed 67 on-site presentations to, there's 96 high schools in the state of Vermont. We went to 67 of them. So we went to almost every single one. We have partnerships or ambassadors at all those high schools. So we go back every year, we share our materials. Sometimes we get to do a presentation if they allow us in. Some schools that are struggling with their student population, particularly when it comes to behavioral challenges, we are not able to get into. They're so focused on just the day-to-day, which is really understandable, but unfortunate because sometimes those are kids who would benefit the most. There's some schools that we haven't been able to get into for years, and we keep trying, and we're going to keep trying. Other schools that we have great relationships with, CVU in total has, I think, 151 applicants this year coming from CVU. Obviously, they're not all going to get in, but CVU is a great partner, for instance. And it really varies. I think the other thing that's a challenge for us is there's been so much turnover in the last couple of years at the school. Again, no surprise to anyone here in the room, but we're always having to re-engage folks and build those relationships and get them to understand what the Governor's Institutes is. We're fortunate that some schools in Vermont have a Rotary Interact Club. St. Albans is one of them. There are a couple others throughout Vermont. So we're working with those Rotaries and sharing with that Interact Club. I think the best the two most powerful ways that students hear about the Governor's Institute is word of mouth, peer to peer. Because if your friend went, then it's okay. Otherwise, it might not be cool. So that's really important. But the tough thing about that is if no one in your school comes because we can't get in and tell them about it, then no one ever comes. You know, we focus really hard right now on Bennington County and the Northeast Kingdom. We were focused on Rutland County for many years because we just never had enough applicants, and we don't want those kids to fall behind. And we put a ton of energy. We created relationships in the schools, but in the community as well. That's why I'm here at the Rotaries talking with folks. You guys are active, you're dynamic, you know people, you talk about stuff. Please talk about the Governor's Institutes with people you know. You know, we worked really hard in Rutland, and we doubled our numbers in the last 3 years, and we hope to double it again. What we do is we look at the population, the student high school population in Vermont, and then we look at what percentage do they make up of that total population from each community. So, you know, we look at CVU, we look at the number of kids, and they make up, you know, X percent of the total high school student population here in Vermont. And we try to get the same number of applicants and attendees to match it, so that, you know, again, we're meeting, we're inviting in and accepting a diverse range of students. And I think that's really important too. You know, we've got students who are coming from Canaan, meeting students who are from Chittenden County, or meeting students from Windsor County. And that's really important to just meet different people and see, you know, how diverse Vermont is. Just, you know, from a geographical standpoint, in different schools. Like I said, some schools are 50. CVU, I think, is the largest school in the state of Vermont. It's like 1,300 kiddos. So it's a really different experience if you go up to Canaan versus CVU. Any other questions?
Just a couple comments.
Sure.
One is that if there's a school that you've been unable to get into, do you think they'd let you put up a poster in the school?
We try. We send every single school in Vermont a packet and we follow up with them. So we'll send them posters. We'll send them electronic opportunities. We'll send them social media posts. We try to make it plug and play because we recognize that they've got so much to do, that we're just one of many things that, you know, is part of their overall workload. So we try to make it as easy as we can. And some do just that, you know, and some, but we're still gonna work at it.
My other thought is if those towns for those high schools have Rotary clubs, you should go to those Rotary clubs.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what we've been trying to do. And it's making a real difference. I think Springfield's a great example. We went and chatted with the Springfield Rotary Club last year, right around this time. And we saw our numbers increase this year for Springfield. So yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah. Yes, Dick?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there are Governor's Institutes in other states too, right? And do you have some kind of network that you share ideas and that kind of thing?
Yes, we do. So we are part of a nationwide network that was started about 40 years ago. Thanks for that question, Debbie. And everyone is a little different. So some Governor's Institutes only have one program. So Kentucky has one program. It's for the arts. They host about 1,000 kids. The state of Kentucky underwrites the cost completely. There's no cost to the students at all. Mississippi underwrites the cost of their program. There's no cost. Arkansas is another one that underwrites it. South Carolina is another one. Florida underwrites the cost completely. There are others that have a similar model to ours. We get a small amount of support from the state. About 18% of our funding comes from the state. The rest of our funding is from private philanthropy, so businesses, foundations, individuals. Many Governor's Institutes have a similar model. We really are punching above our weight in Vermont though, because we all know Vermont's super small. The only state smaller in population is Wyoming. Wyoming serves about 40 kids. They have one program. It's like an economic sort of program. So we're serving over 700 kids a year. And the only one that comes close to us is Kentucky, serving over 1,000 kids. So we're doing really, really well in Vermont. And really that's because of community support. We couldn't do it without the community.
So you mentioned that, you choose kids by rank, like by age, so seniors, juniors.
Yep.
After that, how do you go about choosing who gets?
Yeah.
Who gets funded, who gets anything?
Thank you. Great question. So a lot of people mistakenly think that the Governor's Institute is for students who have the best grades. They're doing all these after-school activities focused on academics. Not true at all. When students apply, what I'm looking for is curiosity. I am looking for motivation, so drive, and the willingness to be part of a community and the willingness to try. So how we determine, we look at the age first. So we want to give those juniors who are applying, whose last opportunity it is to come to the Governor's Institute, first dibs. And then we go down the line to those sophomores and freshmen. But we ask them to complete a series of essay questions when they apply. So they have to list all those demographics, like what grade are you in and what are you interested in? But then you got to tell me why. Why are you interested in this? And what do you think you're going to get out of it? And we have volunteers, and we welcome volunteers to look over those applications. Would this opportunity change that student's life? So we had a student last year who, so teachers also recommend the students. The students not only have to complete an application, they've got to get a recommendation from a teacher or an administrator. And this teacher said, this is a young man who wanted to come to entrepreneurship. And she said, he is one of 5 siblings. His parents, just yell at the kids all the time and say that they're good for nothing. They'll never amount to anything. And she goes, I know this kid has a lot of drive, and I know he's got a spark, and he just needs someone to nurture it. He just needs to see that he is worthy of it. So we selected that student to come to the Governor's Institute, knowing that they needed that opportunity.
We're out of time.
Yeah, sorry.
Save it for after.
Thank you
We're
guys
over
so
time.
much. I appreciate it. Oh, okay. Is this our 50/50?
Yeah.
Am I good?
I got 2 things.
Okay.
First, draw 1 ticket and.
Oh my gosh, I didn't bring my. Oh no, Walter, get up.
420.
That's me.
And I didn't plan that, because Debbie's been such a great.
Okay, you did. And to thank you for coming and speaking to us today. We are making a $50 donation to the Williston Central School Mentoring Program.
Nice, thank you. It's awesome, because mentors are key. We feel strongly about that.
Here's your thank you.
Thank you, guys. We will share this on our social media. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It was great. So much. What you said about learning about Governor's Institute from your peers, that's how I heard about it. One of my friends went. Yeah, long time ago. All right, Tamira, it's really nice to talk to you. So if you have more questions, if you can stay.
Yeah.
Reach out to her. She's great. And Vince, come to our inspiration.
So I've given some inspirations before, and usually they're fables. Because my last name is Conti, and one of the meanings for Conti is fables, but I decided not to do that today. So I really thought hard about what inspires me, and one of the main things that inspires me on a day-to-day basis is you. People in this room, Rotarians, fellow Rotarians. The things you do for service, the things you do for the events we do, the things we do for our community, the things that we do for committee work, the things we do for other nonprofits that we're associated with. So thank you very much for that. And for all your work. So I also then started looking and said, who are some inspiring Rotarians? So I'll give you a quick list. And then I'm going to do about 3 or 4 quotes. So I'll be quick. Winston Churchill, Charles Mayo Clinic, Thomas Edison, Orville Wright, Neil Armstrong, John Kennedy, so you knew that one. Richard Byrd, Sir Edmund Hillary, Charles Lindbergh, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Walt Disney, Pope Francis, Luciano Pavarotti. So I'm going to give 4 quotes, and at least they just kind of resonated to me a bit. First one is from Winston Churchill. We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. So that directly echoes the philosophy of Rotary of selfless giving and service above self. Second one is Thomas Edison. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try just one more time. And that reflects the determination and commitment of Rotary's pursuit of community service and global change. The third one is Richard Byrd. Few people during their lifetime come anywhere near exhausting their resources dwelling within them. There are deep wells of strength that are never used. That reflects Rotary's belief in the potential of every individual to contribute significantly to society. And the last is going to be Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little. That reflects Rotary's focus on helping those less fortunate and promoting fairness and equity. Thank you.